Obviously, we think there's something to doing video, which is why we've chosen to do these things over video. There's a way that you can communicate body language and intonation in addition to our words. But a lot of our conversations that we have online are done just via text or typing, or maybe only voice. And so today I have Daniel Hall with us, and Daniel and I work together with Echo. And so today we've got 5 ideas that we want to share of how to be a more fluent and good person at having a conversation online, really is what it is. How do we type but get across what we need to, and how do we do that in a way that's really effective? So
sort of as we've watched Echo being used, some of the best practices that we've been like, that's a really great take at that, or even some of these like, I wouldn't have done that way.
Sure.
What's maybe the better way to do that? So we get an opportunity through this medium to kind of share the best ofs in a way.
That's true.
With people. So.
And we've got a little over 2.5 million conversations done on Echo, which is crazy to think of. So as of the time of this recording, it's growing quickly. So we've got a lot of data that we've been able to start looking at and going through and kind of figuring out like what works and what doesn't work. So let's just jump in. What's number one?
So first of all, be human. Like, simple. Be human. What a concept.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah, so I think all people, especially in America, we know what a robocall is. This idea that either you receive a phone call that's not a real human, and they're getting really good, these robocalls.
Yeah.
The one named Jennifer keeps calling me, and I've talked to her several times thinking it was a real person. But, or also we'll call a company and we'll be put into this, what feels like an endless loop of despair, where you're really looking to find a human interaction, but you keep just going through this flow of robotic calls, this bot of sorts. But what we don't want is that experience with Echo. And I mean, ministry shouldn't feel automated, right? I mean, it's this connection that we're trying to make with somebody that a robot can't make that. Like, just at the core, a machine cannot connect at a spiritual level like humans are created to do.
We should have done this query before we started this, but I frequently see someone ask, "Are you a robot?"
Yeah, right.
And so how do you show, what is it like to be not a robot? Like, how do you be human? How do you demonstrate humanness?
Isn't that funny that we're asking, we're at the point in life and technology.
What does it mean?
What does it mean to be human? Yeah, I think it means, well, so this is a little bit of maybe it's a buzzword, but empathy and showing empathy, hearing out somebody before trying to rush them into something, or having a shared experience. Like, I know what you mean. That's empathy at its core is creating that connection, a shared experience, a human experience that obviously a robot doesn't have emotions and can't understand the feeling you're having. I think it's funny that we have, in our city, we have this amazing internet service provider that I've had to get on the phone with a couple times. And man, they do such a fantastic job, which is not the usual case. Yeah. Most people probably hear that and they're like, I don't know who they're talking about. Because my internet service provider is the worst.
Right.
That's true for the most part, but they're so great. And as I was sharing with you earlier, I've had such good human experiences with them, where they don't abandon me. They're not trying to rush me off. They want to hear out what I have to say and help me, and actually do help me. What a concept. To where I feel so thankful. Like a customer service experience where I find myself wanting to say, hey, before we get off, let me just tell you, like, thank you. This was a really great experience. And that's only a human could provide me that. I mean, you can pay bills with a robotic experience. You can get, other data given to you. That's fine. That's helpful. Maybe even preferred. But at the kind of stuff we're talking about with ministries and evangelism, like, people are looking to connect with another human. And I don't think we were even planning on going this direction, but even the trolls of the world are looking Whether or not it seems like it on the surface, they're
Right.
looking for human connection.
Sure they are. Of course, we're deeply wired for this.
Right.
So yeah, of course we need that. And I've seen where someone will be quick to like the volunteer or the ambassador we've talked about, or the person that's working and having a conversation with the seeker, the customer service representative. What I've seen happen a lot of times is they'll pick up on a keyword and then they'll just maybe copy and paste a large paragraph of information in. And I think they're trying to do that because I don't think they're doing that out of a bad intention.
Sure.
But it certainly feels a lot more like the robot side and a
Yeah.
whole lot less like the human side. And so I guess that's the challenge, is like, how efficient are you without being so efficient that you're losing a conversation? Because that's what all of this is about, is having a conversation.
Right.
So.
And building an authenticity and the trust that
Sure.
it takes to take somebody on a journey towards Jesus. And if someone sees they type in a question and then, within seconds there's a paragraph that appears.
Right.
Like, we all know that wasn't
Right.
That was not a human that typed that out. I mean, maybe a human copied and pasted it.
Right.
But that's not what necessarily people are looking for. So
Sure.
there's a fine line, I think. But yeah, I think some of the efficiency that you're talking about, that someone may have a good heart towards
Right.
being efficient and trying to do a lot, lends us to our second point we want to talk about, which
Yeah.
is limiting simultaneous conversations.
Right.
So in Echo, you have the ability to take on multiple, not just multiple conversations, but multiple method of communication, whether
Sure.
that's take a couple chats, a couple of text messages,
Facebook Messenger,
some social media
your
interaction.
email.
Yeah, I mean, all but really phone, right?
Right.
Talking on the phone.
And you could take that too.
I
if
guess you
wanted
could,
to.
but that would kind of prove our point,
Right.
Which it wouldn't allow you to really care for each individual conversation to the level that ministry sort of
Sure.
requires
Sure.
to build that trust and authenticity, to not just have a seeker feel like I'm just being rushed through this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being taken for granted. They're not caring for me.
Right.
It breaks what we've been talking about, that empathy
Yeah.
so just having the ability to do something doesn't necessarily
Right.
make it right.
But there are times where, like, maybe when you text somebody and it's like every time I text them, it takes at least 5 to 10 minutes before they text back. Well, you don't want to just sit there and just hover on that, because
Sure.
you do have 5 to 10 minutes of time. But it's about pacing, right? So it's about understanding the pace of the seeker that you're interacting with. How quickly are we going to have this conversation back and forth, and being careful to not overcommit, because at any time they could really, all right, now I'm actually paying attention.
Yeah.
And then they really zone in. And so it's giving yourself margin in that. And so it's basically giving permission to say, don't take as many conversations as you possibly can, but have quality over quantity.
Absolutely.
And staff accordingly, I guess, on that. And so, because some of those conversations aren't short, right? Sometimes they go on a long time, which I think leads us to the next
Yeah, nice.
point
It's
here.
a nice segue.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and that idea is that we want to be in a conversation for the long haul. If we're going to start a conversation with someone around who knows what, right? When you claim a conversation in Echo, it could be anything from a simple question about Solomon in the Bible or some
Right.
randomness,
Right.
all the way through to I have homosexual feelings, or my parents talked about divorce last night,
Right.
like some heavier stuff.
Sure.
So you may be in what is about to be, 30 minutes, 2 hours.
Who knows, right?
Who knows? Like,
Right.
that's the idea, though, is if this is truly a ministry that we're looking at using Echo, the power of Echo, for ministry purposes, that we are ministers, these ambassadors, to come back to things we're saying over and over, but that we're ready to stay in this for the long haul and commit to finding not a solution, that's not really the right word, but to walk with this person as they're either processing something big and difficult, to help just guide them through. It's probably tempting to put our own timeline and time frame onto to something like this. So like we've had 4 hours to give to Echo, and conversations. We're 5 minutes before our thing and somebody's not picking up a conversation. So we may just grab it. But I think it would be, really terrible if we weren't able to say, I'm willing to go the distance with even the person that I'm picking up 5 minutes. Because that'd be terrible if someone's ready to pour their heart out, just needs somebody to listen. Again, somebody could be on the edge of making a really terrible decision that would affect their life.
Sure.
And then we're just kind of like,
well, I got to go.
Ready to bail.
Right.
Ready to bail on them.
Right.
Like, what does that say? If we are to be representative of God in this moment, what does that say? So...
And there are times where you really do have to go.
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
And so then that's why, at least in the Echo platform, we've given options to transfer that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to, again, be thinking about that on the front end as you grab these, because we really think, and sometimes it just takes some wrestling. It just takes some energy of just pushing back and forth through this and letting them express themselves to get to where they need to be. It's not always just going to be, well, let me paste this in and type this conversation and high five and we're done. And so giving that, I love that. And it's not always easy to do, but I think it's something that we always are trying to recommend to the ministry to make sure they understand, like, if you start a conversation, be ready to have that full conversation for sure.
And I think it also helps to reframe this if we don't look at a conversation just as a task or just as a conversation, but as an opportunity, which lends itself to our fourth point.
Okay.
That we want to claim the conversation and not miss an opportunity. That's kind of how we wanted to word it here, because it is an opportunity to speak into someone's life, to kind of intercept a bad decision, to be able to help walk with somebody.
Right.
But you've seen this done.
I was going to say, I think the reason we thought about bringing this one up is so many times we'll see someone want to avoid a particular topic. Mm-hmm. So at least in our Echo platform, it'll show like what is the topic that the person wants to have a chat about, as an example. And so they may put a topic in there that many times this ambassador, this volunteer may look at it and go like, oh, I am not qualified at all to answer that. I'm going to let someone else answer that. And I think what we're learning is action cures fear. And so we want people to like go ahead and take that. It draws the volunteer closer to God, because they're going to have a high reliance on him because they feel inadequate in it. But many times what happens out of that is it causes both people to grow and draw towards God versus pulling them away. I think we have this idea that if we don't have the perfect, almost packaged answer that we can deliver to people in this nice bow and this beautiful box, that they're going to be like, forget it, I knew this was terrible, and then move on, right?
Yeah.
But I think what people are really looking for is, are you authentic? Are you real? Is this really, can we go through this together? And can we explore this and come to an answer? Now, there's obvious exceptions to that. Some people just want to fight, for sure. And some people are just messing with you, the trolls of the world. But I think a whole lot of the people are genuinely trying to, they're wrestling with something. Mm-hmm. And it's possible that if you don't feel very adequate in the explanation of that topic, that's God's way. He's going to get you to grow in that process as well.
Yeah. Man, and as we were talking about this earlier, like I was just thinking how refreshing it would be for someone to bring a really challenging question to any Christian, like, Echo facilitates this opportunity, but to bring a really hard question to a Christian and the Christian not have the quick, easy answer, to just say, you know what, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like let's go on a journey. Let's go find that answer out together. Let's look at Scripture together. Let's find an answer to what that question is. Our last point is to read between the lines. Which I think kind of pairs really well with the last one, because how can we see on what the surface may look like an easy, like a question, like I said, like a challenging question, or some kind of prayer request that seems really simple on the surface, but I think this kind of demands of us to use our brain a little bit more, to think beyond like the easy answer to what's really being asked here? What's the real issue? Honestly, I admit I've never read the book, but I've read the title of this book. It's not about this, it's about that.
Okay.
And it's like, I love that. Just the title inspires me because it's like, there's so many times where like someone mentions a thing and it's like, wait a minute, it's actually not about this, it's about that. Or maybe I have the title backwards. I don't know. But the point being,
Right.
It's not about A, it's really about this other thing. It's B, you know?
It's funny because I thought you were going to say the book, The Question Behind the Question.
Oh, okay.
The
So that's a good one.
QBQ is its little acronym for that. And so that's another book kind of talking about those sorts of concepts. And I think that's the big deal that we usually know, especially like in a relationship, when somebody asks something, we kind of usually know, is that what they're asking? Or, I feel like we may not know what the deeper question is, but we can feel it. I know if my wife maybe asks a question, sometimes I'll know like that's probably not actually what she's wanting to know. She's wanting to know this other bit of information below the surface, right? And so we know that as we're in deep relationship with people, we begin to learn the subtext, you know. But we have to really kind of go a little extra when all they've written is the sentence and they've sent that over to us, right? So we've got to read into that more. I mean, think about I love my wife. I've been married to her for almost 25 years, and you won't believe this, Daniel, but sometimes we misunderstand each other.
Yeah.
And we love each other. We're committed to each other, and we have even live in-person conversation with each other, and you'll be shocked. We actually get into fights. And so imagine how much easier that is when you don't know the person, when you don't have those interactions. So you've got to see... You got to really pay attention to why they chose the words they did to express that, and be quick to pick up. Pray for me because I'm really sad or something like that. Somebody may be literal and just like, dear Jesus, help Daniel not be sad. Enter. Like, sweet, I got that done.
Yeah, right.
Right. But a better thing is like, well, tell me, why are you sad? And well, I'm really sorry to hear that. And well, how does that affect your understanding of who God is? And so we just take down that journey, and it doesn't take long if we're being sensitive and asking the Holy Spirit, like, give us wisdom on the types of questions we can ask that are not like yes, no kind of questions, but force them to open up and explain more. And then we look for the nuance in that for sure. Yeah.
And this isn't even really planned. We kind of planned to stop at 5, but I feel like
a bonus.
I know, like a little
bonus
hidden bonus.
Okay.
But it lends itself to say like to be prayerful in being able to do any of these things. But I think reading between the lines, like maybe you feel like, I'm not good at that. I'm not a psychologist. That feels like something, a ninja move of the brain or something. Right. But to be really prayerful about like, what are the right questions to ask? How can I help this person specifically without all the information? Like, how can I dig in here and get my hands dirty a little bit? I think we're often scared of that, but to really just be prayerful. And I know we have some real prayer warriors that use Echo day in, day out.
Sure.
Not going to pretend like I'm the first person to think about praying over a conversation.
Right.
But specifically in that point, it's like, man, what if we were to see something so simple and be like, surely it's not that simple. I'm going to say a quick prayer. Holy Spirit, guide me into this. Where am I headed?
Right.
And who knows what could happen.
Yes. I love that.
So,
yeah. Yeah, it's great, man. So, hopefully this has been useful to you all watching, and hopefully these are some points that you can take, put those together. I'm sure you probably have 10 more of your own. We'd love to hear them. Maybe we'll make an episode about them. But until next time, have a great day. Thanks. Thanks for watching. Make sure and like and subscribe to our channel. Click that bell so that you'll be notified every time we have a new video coming out. And I wanted to make you aware that we have some incredibly awesome resources totally free for you, whether you are or are not an Echo customer. Just go to echoglobal.org/resources and you can look at all of them totally free. echoglobal.org/resources. Like seriously, like now is a great time to go. echoglobal.org/resources.